I want to bring in CBS News foreign policy and national security contributor, retired Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. Before we talk about some of the other issues of the day, General, I want to get your take on this dignified transfer, which is our nation's first salute to its fallen. As you know, before there's a funeral, before there are medals presented or eulogies are delivered, there is this quiet ritual that we will see play out at Dover Air Force Base by the Air Force mortuary team. Every movement of that team, very deliberate, every flag perfectly placed, America's way of saying welcome home. Tell me about your thoughts at this moment.
Well, thanks, Vlad. Great to be with you and Jolene. What the American public won't see probably is the ramp ceremony when the remains of our fallen are loaded onto those aircraft, and that's when the soldiers, the soldiers who knew the fallen, gathered together to pay honor to them before they make their flight home, and there and back in the United States with their families. This is grief work, Vlad. This is under the idea that grief shared is grief divided, but it's also a way to honor the fallen and their soldiers, recognizing that that war comes with a price, and recognizing that our nation should be grateful that they have young men and women who are willing to serve, who are willing to take risks and make sacrifices to defend our nation. So I think that also what should come with this is resolve, Vlad. Resolve to achieve an outcome against Iran that is worthy of these sacrifices.
Defense Secretary Hegseth is also requesting a new multi-billion-dollar budget increase for the war. There was a heated exchange during a Senate hearing yesterday. You've got Michigan Senator Gary Peters calling Secretary Hegseth a failure thus far. Take a listen to this.
You, sir, are the failure, not the men and women who are on that front line, not the men and women who hold up their honor with distinction. But if there's a lack of a winning strategy, they're in harm's way. Their leaders have failed them. And that's what's happening. We have political leadership. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war.
So is there a clear plan here? And what does this urgent request say about where this war is going next?
Well, I think what the war, Jolene, has exposed is a real problem in our defense industrial base and our capacity to manufacture weapons and especially munitions. So this bill is extremely important, as is a supplemental funding request, to be able to replenish our stocks, but really importantly to expand our defense industrial base and manufacturing capacity. We've operated for many, many years across many administrations under this assumption that we can be kind of efficient on this and just purchase the minimal amount of munitions necessary. So there's a bow wave of deferred investment in this area. There's a bow wave of deferred modernization as well. In this National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, there's a lot of funding for some of these newer systems, the counter-drone capabilities, but also the offensive drone capabilities, including the maritime versions you've seen used. So I think it's very urgent to pass this. The comment, about the secretary, I think he's giving voice to some frustration of that. We have a lot of successful military actions being conducted, but it's unclear to many how the military operations are connected to achieving a sustainable political outcome consistent with U.S. interests. And again, it goes back to kind of what we've talked about quite a bit here, is that there is not going to be enduring peace or security for the Iranian people, for the region, for our interests, until there's a fundamental change in the nature of that Iranian government, a government that, as we can see, is permanently hostile to the United States, its Arab neighbors, and Israel.
We also know that President Trump is threatening to attack Pickaxe Mountain. When you see that, what would an operation like that actually entail, and why is that location a focal point?
Jolene, this is an area where it's reported that a number of centrifuges were moved there. These are the very fragile machines, that are necessary to conduct the enrichment process, to get up to the 60% enrichment that Iran had gotten up to before the strikes in February, which is just like a skip from that point on to weapons-grade enrichment. So it's believed that some of the critical portions of the nuclear weapons program have been moved there. This is reportedly very deeply buried, 450 feet below the surface, or even further, maybe meters. I might be misremembering that. So you're not going to destroy it. So I think there would be a disrupted attack to maybe limit access there, create some damage, but it would likely take an extensive operation, maybe even involving ground troops and excavation, capability to completely destroy it.
Well, we'll see what the Tehran response would be on something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of yesterday, you were on Capitol Hill and you were testifying in front of the House Intelligence Committee on 9/11 threats 25 years later. What were the critical points that you made about the current state of Homeland Security? Could you share that with us?
Jolene, the great moats of the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean aren't what they used to be. And so there are a whole range of emerging threats that could reach the homeland immediately if we come under attack from a nation state or even a non-state actor. Hypersonic missiles, the proliferation of missile capabilities is one of the reasons why I think it's important to win in Iran. And part of that definition of win would be to deny Iran the ability to have these large missile stocks and continue with its missile program to target the United States. We have obviously offensive cyber capabilities, now more and more counter space capabilities. But what I'm really concerned more and more about is how artificial intelligence combined with certain technologies could present a major danger. And think about AI tied with bioengineering and the development of biological agents, for example. We already know that terrorist organizations have been pursuing these capabilities. So I think what we're facing is kind of this coalescing axis of aggressors. This is Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, who have increasing capabilities and are helping each other out quite a bit. There's a great new publication coming out this week from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy, showing how much they're helping each other out in terms of developing capabilities to threaten the United States. But also we have this democratization of destruction, where you have non-state actors now being able to achieve the kind of level of threat previously associated only with nation states.
General, before you go, because we do have to wrap up, but I got to ask you about this new tweet, this new Truth Social post from the President of the United States, where he indicates that if the Islamic Republic shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, he is prepared, the United States is prepared to destroy a bridge or a power plant in a tit-for-tat should that attack happen in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Geneva Conventions are pretty clear about attacking bridges. Obviously, they are not off target if their bridges are being used in a military capacity, but if the bridge is used for civilians and there are civilians on that bridge, that could potentially be a war crime. What's your reaction to that?
Well, Vlad, all these bridges probably have a military purpose of some kind in terms of the ability to move capabilities, missiles or drones or components of drones for assembly. And those targets will go under review, before they're executed. But I think really what's most important is, hey, the desired effect, right? The desired effect is to get Iran to desist from interrupting shipping in the Straits and desist from attacking its neighbors and our bases in the region. Will this be sufficient? I doubt it, Vlad, because what they really fear, and I think what would really result in a change in their behavior, is they fear their own people. So what I would like to actually not see, because I wouldn't want to know about it, would be support for opposition groups within Iran. I think you can make that case clearly on a humanitarian basis, Vlad. I mean, remember, they killed, now the estimates are 52,000 people in a 2 or 3 day period in January. So I think supporting those opposition groups is something I would like to see as an element of this effort to coerce the regime to desist from these acts of war against the United States, their Arab neighbors, and of course, Israel's still under threat from their proxies and is engaged with Hezbollah. And there's been some positive development on that front in Lebanon.
All right, General H.R. McMaster, always great to have you, sir. Thank you very much, as always. Appreciate you.